It. All right, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm here with Allison and our special guest, Teal Deer, and we are going to be delving back into Greek mythology and discussing, I guess, yes?
Medea.
Medea, yeah.
Feminist icon.
Medea. I think it's Medea. Medea is the character from all those Tyler Perry movies. Medea is, I believe, the Greek myth. Yeah.
All right, but the point is that she is a feminist icon of empowerment.
What was that? Allison?
She's a feminist icon. What the?
Allison. You're talking, but I can't hear you.
Oh goodness, I'm too low.
Dear, can you hear Allison?
Can you hear her?
I can hear Allison. I can hear everyone. Yes. It's a wonderful place.
It's there's something wrong with my it's my headphones. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, if Teal Deer can hear me, probably people in the audience can as well. What I was going to say is Medea.
it's my headphones. I gotta plug in the speakers. I gotta lower the volume.
Okay. So Medea is the new feminist empowerment icon. Why instead of Lysistrata? And why? Because, well, Lysistrata just ended a war. That's not good enough. Medea basically started one. No, she killed a whole bunch of men. She killed her brother to benefit Jason of the Argonauts, and then she killed her sons when Jason pissed her off. So that's feminism. That's what they want to champion as their icon. A woman with a body count, because equality.
Yeah.
Anyway.
A literal body count. So anyway, why don't you do the things?
So if you would like to send us a message at any point throughout the show, you could do so at feedthebadger.com/justtip. The very best way for you to send us a tip and a message with that tip, because we get the full benefit of the funds and you get the full benefit of not sending your cosmic wisdom through YouTube's comment shredder system. And it also stays in our Discord, in which you can access at badgernation.online, where you get some additional stuff, some interaction, and you can read more about my frameworks, all the analysis that I do. Periodically, I'll post a post-show analysis for a little bit more information. And if you're interested in that, badgernation.online is where you go to join us. And when it's available to support the show, you'll do so at feedthebadger.com/support. All right, that's good, I think. Unless there's anything more you want me to address, Brian.
No, I did get a super chow before, like in the middle of the night. We got a super chow. I'll read it out really quick.
Or should we wait? Or okay.
Well, it's not super relevant, but if I don't read it at some point during the show, it's just going to get buried under a bunch of other ones. So I feel like we should read it.
Oh, good grief!
It's we don't have to react to it. I'm just going to read it. It's not
that I'm going to react to it.
I know.
All
right, so I got a super chow from shout out to Brian for the call-in shows, who gives us $20 and says, I cannot tune into the call-in shows live because I watch them afterwards. I am sympathetic to you guys that Natty ended up monopolizing the X space from a month ago. Thank you for the super chow. Appreciate it.
Well, I've heard that. So for those of you who are just tuning in, you don't know who Natty is. She's she bills herself as an ex-MRA turned feminist Orthodox Christian.
Something like that.
Yeah, something. And she periodically shows up. I mean, I think we had a couple shows with her way back when, like 10 years ago.
She used to be a regular. Yeah. Her, Elizabeth.
I didn't talk to her that much.
She used to come on a lot.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So she used to be a regular, and then she decided that she, I don't know, reconciled with her mom, and her hatred towards her mom was why she was supporting men's issues or some shit. It's sometimes difficult to understand her story. But she comes on X Spaces and she monopolizes them, and she insists that everybody conform to her cosmology, which is centered on your opinion of Peter Wright's gynocentrism theory. And everything has to be hammered into that hole. Although I have heard I don't know if she's held to this, that she is taking a break from social media, to which I could only say probably a good idea.
Yeah, she had quit X for a while, but I'm sure she'll be back. But
yeah, I'm sure she'll be back.
Yeah, it's like I said, I just, they sent a super chow. We're supposed to read them, so I read it. I was not actually troubled by any of that. It is what it is.
And I shouldn't say hatred of her mother. That's just like a quick gloss, just conflict with her mother, perhaps. So anyway, that's that story.
Yeah.
Let's get into
all right. So now we're going to get back into this video. Okay. Why be Lysistrata when you could be Medea? And she is now going to, I think where we left off was where she was going to make the case for Medea, or we were talking about possibly jumping ahead to the bit where it's a chapter called "Oops, a Misandry," where she's,
Let's go for Medea. Let's see what she has to say.
All right, let's see what she has to say.
Save the "Oops, a Misandry" for later.
Yeah. Okay.
Medea. So this whole conversation inside Aristophanes' plays about Euripides being a known huge misogynist was very interesting to me, because I, a kid who read a lot of like classics, loved Euripides because he wrote one of my favorite female characters, of course, Medea. She's not a hero, but she is awesome, and it's so rare.
Okay, can I get in here for a second? There's a bit of an echo, Brian, so I don't know what's going on.
I'll have to lower my volume or turn off my microphone when I'm playing it, because my headset doesn't work. That's why I couldn't hear you. So,
so I guess
I gotta replace it. Yeah, I'll just mute. But could I just say though, before we continue, so this playwright that she's referring to, that is Aristophanes, is a known raging huge misogynist. According to who? Did ancient Greeks even have a word for that? Like, were there people calling each other misogynists in ancient Greece? I don't think there was. I think but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm not a historian. Maybe there is like an early, case Feminism of misogyny that's like some old, Greek graffiti on like the side of the temple in Athens or something. But it's just funny that they just go with, well, this guy was supposedly this way, and we're just supposed to like take that at face value. But okay. Anyway, let's play some more.
Like a strong female character in, Greek and Roman literature that's not a god. And I love Medea. So I also reread Medea, and I still loved it. Medea was originally part of a trilogy, and it was performed all together, but we only have the one. We only have Medea. It was performed in 431 BC, so before Aristophanes and before the Peloponnesian War. And apparently this play didn't do as well with the audience. Like, these plays were always given in like contests to select the best drama or whatever, and Euripides didn't do very well, and they think it might be because he took some liberties with the myth of Medea. So Medea is not a historical character, she's a mythical character, and they think he might have changed the ending in a way that made the audience mad. But I'm just going to talk about the text of the play, not like...
Just pausing there for the banana, because that was kind of a lot. So, okay.
Okay, so the reading on Aristophanes it's modern. I don't think they did consider him a misogynist. They didn't have the word back then. And the reason why he's considered is because he turned the idea of women running things into a joke.
So he was based. So what you're saying is Aristophanes was based, and we should listen to the wisdom of the elders.
Okay.
I'm gonna Kathy Newman.
So the feminist objection is treating women's political agency as a comic premise. Codes is inherently ridiculous. which is misogyny made foundational to the genre. I don't know. As a woman, I can sort of see where he's coming from. As women join a political party that's essentially it's in the back, like where does the food come from in the grocery? It's in the back. Like Jesus. So I could sort of I'm sympathetic. Let's say I'm misogynist adjacent.
It's from the party of endless abundance.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll just say that we're rich and that we have food, and thus it will be. Because all we need to do is signal. All we need to do, Brian, all we need to do is signal our abundance, and then there it is. Yeah? We just need to signal properly. Right. Just need to do the right smoke signs. Build the right bamboo cargo plane on the beach, and then we'll just have airdropped supplies. Oh, man. Okay. This is so I'm a little sympathetic to the Aristophanes premise.
Aristophanes. It's
Aristophanes. Yes, you see. Thank you. I can't even talk without a man.
Well, it's Greek. If it's ancient Greek, there's you can tell how you probably should pronounce it, and it doesn't seem intuitive. But
yes,
yeah,
Brian. But consider how much trouble I have with English. Now you're asking me to deal with ancient Greek. That's not going to happen for me.
Yeah.
I've probably even forgotten it. Aristophanes, right? No.
Aristophanes.
Getting closer. There you go.
Think of Aristotle and then just change the ending.
Aristophanes.
Yeah.
Phonics. Okay. So, and then all the female roles are played by male actors in masks. So the proto-feminist content gets read as men performing female grievance for male entertainment. It's funny because this is feminists talking about probably what was a ancient Greece Benny Hill sketch, and they're struggling with the fact that it's intended to be humorous. And the women in the plays mock themselves. Oh, jeez, that's truly anti-feminist. A woman who mocks herself. Hellenic, what can we mere women do that's intelligent or noble? We sit around the house looking pretty, wearing saffron dresses and makeup. Isn't that just mocking that attitude, which I presume would be mostly an elite women's attitude, since every other woman of every other class was probably working? The women voicing their own incapacity, and also their own, not my problem, if you think about it. That's basically what she's saying. It's not my problem. War is not my problem. The reluctance to give up sex, the inability to stick to the strike, the gossip about wine and lovers. Myrene, offering to cut herself in half for the cause and then immediately abandoning the strike when her husband shows up. The play's women are sex-obsessed, weak-willed, easily distracted, and have to be bullied by Lysistrata into staying on task. The feminist objection: even when the women are the protagonists, they're presented as comically incapable of the political seriousness the plot requires. The plot of Lysistrata requires political seriousness, guys. In the previous one, I think I presented the idea that it was, again, a Benny Hill sketch, an ancient Greece Benny Hill sketch. So can you imagine two millennia from now, feminists of the 4000s looking at a Benny Hill sketch and saying, these women are not politically serious. They're running around with their breasts out, chasing a man over a cliff. That is not political seriousness. It's yeah, because it's a joke. This play was meant to be laughed at. Of course, the characters in it aren't politically serious. Okay, let's get back to Medea.
All right, let's play some more of the video.
The other versions of the myth. But first, of course, I have to fill you in on the background of Medea, just in case you're not familiar. I don't know, did you have friends when you were 12 years old or something? You weren't reading the Argonautica? So Medea is a princess, but she's also related to the gods. She's the granddaughter of Helios, the sun god, the god representing the sun.
Hold on a second. Didn't she say she was not a god, but she's related to the gods? I mean, that sounds like she's got a little bit of clout. I mean,
yeah, she does. But also I want to point out the relational move thing she did just there, that she couldn't help. Despite the fact that she wants to appeal to some kind of universal sisterhood, she just flexed unpopular girls. Did you notice that? Reverse flex. It's like it's a humble bragging. I read the Argonautica at 12. Humble brag flex. Unlike those vapid popular girls who were having friends. You know, like she can't help herself. She appeals to the universal sisterhood, must flex on the group of women she feels threatened by. Okay. Just like,
all right, I got a super chat. Albatross gave us $2 earlier and said, "Didn't know Tyler Perry lived back in ancient Rome." I know he meant to say Greece, but I'm just reading what was put in front of me. Okay, we got in the vertical chat. We got some Angela Collier fans. Angela Collier is the lady who we're responding to. They're not happy about this. I didn't know that she was so big on YouTube.
Mm.
We haven't even really like gotten that angry with her. We're just sort of like,
no, you're not gonna be happy with me.
Yeah,
ladies, you're gonna be quite upset with me. All right, so let's Teal there. You've been quiet. You haven't. Is it quite hot there in England?
No, I'm just seeing if I can beat my best score of about 15 minutes of not saying anything on these streams. You've just prompted me to... Actually, I still made it. It's about 16 minutes. I think I've bested my record of being uninvolved. It's wonderful. I like the kudos of showing up and doing things without having to do things. It's really good for my ego.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. Like I said, me and Brian can fill all the available space. Well, actually, I probably should say me. I can fill all the available space. Heck, my comic mispronunciations can fill all the available space until Brian corrects me. So, all right, let's watch a little bit more. Let's please her fans.
Well, I was going to do some, well, questioning, poking, I suppose. Make of it what you will. Why do feminist women just have to like try and reclaim some of the worst people imaginable in history? I mean, I did point out, I think it was the last time, that if you look historically speaking about how women are more likely to start wars, they're more likely to shame men for not going to war, they're more likely to do all of these sorts of things, and that if you basically flopped that on its head, you would get a play like this, which you seem to have found that's actually the case, that this is, or was something to not be taken very seriously, which is kind of nice. Why do they still want to try and claim like one of the worst people imaginable? Like, okay, yeah, you weren't happy with your husband. Did you really need to kill his concubine that he got for political reasons and his children, which were your children? Was this really necessary?
Medea does far worse.
I know, but this is just for this particular story. This is the bit that she does there. I know she also kills, who was it, her brother or something?
Her brother.
Yeah, earlier.
Her brother, so she can claim Jason for herself.
Yeah.
And then also she kills a king's daughter. I'll have to get the name. Just because she wants to get the throne for Jason.
Yes. So yeah, she does kind of go, has a few woman moments in the same vein as Lady Macbeth has a few woman moments. What is the obsession with feminists and claiming these people? I mean, even if we just stick with mythology, they've attempted to claim Medusa, the immortal Gorgon sister, that she's actually a feminist icon because she stands as a representation of female power against the patriarchy. I'm going to perhaps tickle some I'm going to unlock some memories for some people. You remember a few years ago there was that statue that was put up where they flipped the characters on that famous other one, so it was Medusa holding the head of Perseus as opposed to Perseus holding the head of Medusa. They did that. They celebrated.
I remember the inversion of that. Yeah.
Yeah. They celebrated. They said, "Oh yeah, you go, girl. This is a wonderful thing." The underground serpent of the chaos that is necessary there for our hero, the sun, as he travels across the sky, and then again under the ground into the darkness that he must conquer. What if the darkness won? Well, what if, wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, that's totally feminist. I mean, other ones, I can never remember how you pronounce the names, like Clytemnestra, Cited, whatever it is. Agamemnon's wife, as in Battle of Troy. Agamemnon, guy who has a little bit of a disagreement with Achilles, and then there's a big hollow horse. Yeah, that guy. But he does sort of a similar thing for sort of a similar thing as Jason. Went off, had this war thing, basically needed another concubine for political reasons to help settle a few things. I think there was also a bit of just, I want that because he could. His family was a little bit not the good guys generally, but then again, when it comes to Greek and Roman mythology, there are very few actually just straight up good guys. And she also just ended up murdering him as well when she found out about this. And I think there's a couple of different versions where it's either her doing it and then a slightly more ironic one where she convinces her lover to murder his concubine that he had to get for political reasons because she just had a bit of a woman moment about it. Why do feminists always need to claim these women?
I don't know.
Allison, it's got something to do with the relational web, right?
Yeah, I honestly, I don't even see why it's of benefit. It's not beneficial. And I don't really want to be around any woman who starts claiming evil or bad behavior as something that we need to protect. Because the thing is that these women, they don't just direct this behavior towards men, they direct it towards other women. So when a woman starts beaking off about let's reclaim Medea or Clistrata, I think is what you said. I don't know. Or Medusa, I'm like, yeah, miss me with that because I know what's going to happen. She's going to use that. She's going to use that as a way to excuse her own bad behavior towards other people. And that's what this is. The women who do this do not want to be held to a standard of behavior in which they have to account for the benefit to other people, for the well-being of other people, right? And it's, for me, it's a huge red flag. Why would you want to be around anybody who does that, who has categorically excluded the possibility that she should be held to a standard of behavior related to the well-being of others? Because that's what we're talking about here with these women. It's excluding the notion that you should be held to a moral standard. It's denying the notion you should be held to any kind of moral standard. And in fact, I mean, and again, yeah, it is relational web kind of stuff thinking, because it's all about your status is a result of your signaling within the relational web rather than your actions. And of course, in order to be judged by your actions, to take an identity from your actions, you have to have an external standard for those actions, and that includes moral external standards. So it's a relational web that can't really metabolize the idea of taking an identity from your actions, much less a moral identity from your actions. Because that whole idea that your actions define them is not something that they really comprehend. That's why a lot of stuff is invisible to them. That's why they think that groceries are from the back of the grocery store. Because it's difficult for them to follow the causal chain of actions to where the groceries actually originate from. So it's like this competition between taking identity with relational web signaling, which is a way of thinking categorically. So I am a woman, therefore this is a relational web signal, and it should have a particular set of properties, and those properties should not relate to how my actions are seen in a greater context. They want to control how women are seen because that gives them benefits. If women are seen, are I don't want to say ranked, but evaluated by the content of their character, in other words, the actions that they take, then they lose control over how the category woman is seen, and they lose control over those benefits. And I guess the simple way of saying is they're just assholes. They want an asshole. And they want free license to asshole. Anyway, let's shall we continue?
Yep. Okay, yeah. I got a couple super chats and then we'll continue. So Albert Nader Retro gives us $5 Canadian and says, "You had me at justify killing kids in a play. WTF is that about? Psycho knows no limits." Then he gives another $5 Canadian, thank you, and says, "Let's be glad they do claim these women as heroes. TLDR, that way we know they're the villains. They worship Amy Dunn from Gone Girl, for crying out loud." All right, thank you for that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
it's a good thing. Like that when they do this, they're signaling who they are. And of course, I encourage men to pay attention to those signals.
I think
pay
it's
close
something
attention to those
about
signals.
like it being, it's like they almost fetishize the act of being what they term to be disobedient. So they do things, or they say things, or they neglect to do things. You know, maybe they stop bathing, or they let the hair in their armpits grow out, or whatever. But then all of it is like a statement that they're going to be disobedient, that they misbehave, and there's something about that. And maybe it's, you know, something from their childhood or whatever. But they're doing this, but they are. It's not that they're like going against all rules and all sense of belonging and order or community. They're signaling towards other women who are doing the same thing. So they are sort of like, you know, falling in line in a way. They're just doing it against the norms, you know, because the norms are bad because they're norms for some reason.
Yeah, well, they're not even norms at this point. They're just, I don't know. It's become so deconstructed that those are the norms. Okay, but I want to point something out. Is it really about disobeying? Because I can give you a couple examples of women who disobeyed. Let's start with Madame Curie. And this is something that feminists never talk about because I guess it has absolutely no interest to them. She invented or developed or built a mobile X-ray. I believe it was on a truck. And she defied the policy or the prohibition of women at the front to go to the front and take X-rays of soldiers so that surgeons could find the shrapnel and remove it. And she did that because nobody could work her machine like she could. So if she didn't go to the front, more men would die. And that was why she did it, to save men's lives. And again, she was disobedient. The standing policy was that women were not allowed at the front or not allowed close to the front. So they would probably have like a clearing medical center that would be staffed by mostly men that was closer to the front. And she would go there and she would use her machine to save men's lives. Feminists don't talk about that kind of disobedience. I wonder why. And again, and she was 100% disobedient. She would do these runs where people were trying to stop her. And she did it anyway. And the reason why they didn't want women at the front was obvious. They didn't want women to die. It wasn't this kind of patriarchal oppression. It was literally, we don't want women in a place where basically hell is cracked open and is seeping through the seams. That's it. But she still went because she was driven to save these men's lives. That's disobedience. When feminists never talk about it. Another example of a disobedient woman, Lucretia. If you don't know who Lucretia is, I might be mispronouncing the name because, again, not really good with Greek and Latin names. Lucretia was a woman from in ancient Greece, so not Greece, ancient Rome, during the time when they still had kings. And she was raped by the king's nephew. Okay, and her male relatives came to her and said, "We will avenge you, right? We'll avenge this harm to your honor. we'll go to war against the king's family. And she said, no, I don't want women of this society to think they can live with this dishonor. And then she killed herself. And she forced a revolution. She forced the revolution from a system of kings, to a republic in Rome. And why did she force that revolution? Well, first of all, she disobeyed what her male relatives were planning to do. But second of all, by killing herself, she took these kind of tribal war over women's honor off the table. So now you have to change the system itself to avenge your dead wife, your dead sister, your dead mother, your dead daughter, because it's done. She's not. You can't. There's no recompense. There's no way of resolving this. You either have to live with a system that allows this to happen and women to die, or you change it. So it was changed. Another disobedient woman. Feminists never talk about her, and yet she's quite heroic if you think about it. She refused to allow a conflict to consume her society, and instead said, this needs to change on a fundamental level, on a political level. Right? So we need to become a society where men respect each other's families and don't do stuff like this. And that's where the whole condemnation of the king in Rome came from. And again, it was the thing that spurred the development of the republic. Feminists don't talk about that disobedient woman either. I wonder why. Okay.
Yeah. All right. And I got another super chat rather. From Albert Nader Retro for $2 Canadian. He says, because she saved men's lives. Yeah, it's when again, I don't think it necessarily contradicts what I was getting at. It's about being disobedient,
destroying the system.
Yes, to the system itself, because the system is oppressive, because it's made by men. And there's a lot of, and when women do this stuff, they're signaling to find out, first of all, if it's safe for them to have these opinions in a way, because if there are more women doing it, then they'll be like, oh, okay, then the sisterhood wants this, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to say this. So it's not really because it is like, there's no principle behind it. It's just like, I'm doing this to gain favor with people. That's it. But anyway, let's continue.
Yeah, actually, can I just get in there? That's probably why they don't talk about Lucretia or these aspects of Madame Curie. It's because they were principled. They were acting out of principle. They're acting out of upholding an external standard. For Madame Curie, it was the external standard of healing, protecting, and saving. And for Lucretia, it was the external standard of maintaining the society that they had constructed. Okay. Let's go.
I'm going to jump in and say that I would very much enjoy if we could attempt to troll the feminist movement, because obviously they seem to want the most horrible, heinous creatures on their side. Now, given the interest in the, the Morning Glory milking maid thing not very long ago, I think we should try to troll the feminist movement into taking the Minotaur onto their side. So, Theseus, as we all know, he's the bad guy now because he killed the hot Minotaur BF. I think we should try and do that. Just that creature is just unrelentingly evil. Honestly, I think you probably could, because that thing had to literally be fed babies. Like that was part of the problem.
Minotaur
of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was like a cannibalistic. Well, I guess carnivore. It ate men and babies and stuff.
Yeah. Half carnivore, because it's half man, half bull. So I guess half carnivore, half cannibal. But yeah, like that was literally the entire purpose of that thing was, Crete would send out these ships with the black sails and everyone would shit themselves because they said, oh God, we now have to give up a large number of babies so that the Minotaur can go and eat them. I think we could get them to claim that, because hey, Minotaurs are hot, and so is murdering babies. Minotaur, feminist icon confirmed. Let's go.
I think it's already been done. I remember watching a summary of that story in which the Minotaur was presented as a it was a guy who was going into the labyrinth of Crete, and he presented the story as if the Minotaur was the sympathetic party. I'm like, I think this is a little sus, but it's already happened.
Of course they did that. Why wouldn't they?
Why not? Why not? Let's go there. All right, let's see a little bit more of the video. Oh, are her fans saying anything? I'm curious. Or have they quieted up?
Let's see. I'll go to the vertical chat.
Yeah.
Stephen Kelly Belly said, Angela Collier is impeccable, dog. She is female and correct, very consistent attitude person. These women are not women. You are insane. I don't know what these women are not women means, but Reason 1024 says, y'all seem miserable. Oh, I get it now. Huh? You're all incels, lol. Well, that's it. I'm going to kill myself because I got called an incel again. That's the last time.
I
Goodbye, cruel world.
I don't think your wife's going to like that.
Yeah, well.
Do I have to kill myself because I'm an incel?
Yes. Well, wait, you're a woman, though, so he shouldn't be calling you that.
I'm an insing. I'm an involuntary single. Except I'm not, but... Okay. Let's keep going.
Yeah, so does the husband and the wife of the people on the street, are they aware of the incel and insing nature of the panelists?
Let me see. I'll go and ask.
Have they been informed of this?
Hey, Jonathan, some fan... What's the woman's name again?
Well, I mean, I don't know for sure that it's a woman. It just seems
the one we're responding to.
Reason 1024.
No, somebody is saying that I am involuntary celibate. He just looked at me. What are you talking about, woman? Oh, okay, let's keep going.
Let's keep going. Go ahead,
dear. I am disappointed. All we have got is name calling. Nothing that is said is addressed. Of course not. Nope. This is just
relational web stealing.
Yep. Whenever any feminist says something and you say, I don't think that makes sense. No, you are the bad person. You are the wrong person. I'm not going to address what you're saying. It is simply your identity that is wrong. Wonderful. We don't care.
Yeah. I'll tell you exactly what that is. I'll tell you exactly what that is. They're just prejudging your right to say anything. And what I mean by that is they're saying you're outside the relational web, therefore your opinion is meaningless. Nothing about your substantive arguments registers because they've said, we don't have to address you. You're outside the relational web. We have pre-categorized you as in the void. So no argument you present could possibly be correct. That's the way they think, guys. They don't understand that arguments exist separate from the people who are advancing them. Like literally, if these people were in charge, they would kill messengers. Like some messenger would be like, "My queen, the northern bandits are invading," and the queen would be like, "Off with his head." And then her advisor would be like, "But what are we going to do anything about that?" And then she would turn to him and say, "Off with your head." And that would be her solution to reality. Okay? And this is why I have sympathy for Aristophanes and his so-called misogyny. Because if you get enough Aristophanes and his so-called misogyny, because if you get enough of people who think that way in government, you no longer can respond effectively to the northern bandits invading. Yeah, that's their solution to everything, is just cut the head off the messenger. Say he isn't part of the relational web. That solves it. Huh? Oh, the pipes of the oil rig or the royal platform, they're getting thin. Well, let's just fire the man who said that. That will solve the issue. Damn. Can you understand how that doesn't work anywhere?
Shun the non-believers. Shun. Shun.
Okay, let's keep going.
All right.
For some reason, I'm not hearing anything.
Nope.
Oh, sometimes I have to restart this. I don't know why. Maybe I can try refreshing the page and see. Can you guys hear it now? Nope. All right. Let me.
Vaguely. I think that's
I gotta
your.
stop
That's your
sharing and then I
echo.
gotta reshare it.
Oh
What?
boy. No, I think I heard briefly your echo from your.
So just take a second, relax.
Yeah, and in this case,
All right.
I will use this second to say.
We're back.
If you have.
Go ahead, do your thing.
Okay. If you would like to send us a message, please send us a message at feedthebadger.com/justthetip. It pops up in our community, which you can access at badgernation.online if you're interested. And we get the full benefit of whatever funds you send, and you get the benefit of sending your cosmic wisdom not through YouTube's comment thresher system. So once again, that's feedthebadger.com/justthetip. Send those comments in. This is funny, guys. We have some live ones in the vertical chat. Some people who are defending my fair lady's honor, even though I don't even think we've roughed her up at all yet. Have we? I don't think so.
Okay.
No, we haven't
Okay.
been in any way unfair about her, apart from the last stream where I told her to return to the kitchen about 3 or 4 different ways in Latin, but that was just me flexing the fact that I know a little bit of Latin, and because it was fun.
I mean, the only thing that I think that we have done is basically just question the decision to align with this character, which she's going to get into here in a bit. But I got another super chat. So Albertina Retro gives us $10 Canadian and says, do your respective spouses know that you're involuntarily celibate, you're racist, you're sexist, you're homophobic, transphobic, xenophobic, and you have TDS because you disagree with me? It's all the same. All right. Thank you. Let's
Your
keep going.
existence has just been invalidated. That is it. You have been socially destroyed, and now you should go away forever and stop speaking.
Yeah, disappear
And yet
under a rock. And
that's fundamentally the
And yet
point of all
somehow-
of this, because why not?
And yet somehow I persist. And I'm also having to deal with my dog.
all right, I'm gonna hit play on this.
When you were 12 years old or something, you weren't reading the Argonautica. So Medea is a princess, but she's also related to the gods. She's the granddaughter of Helios, the sun god, the god representing the sun, and she's the daughter of the king of Colchis. Medea first shows up in the myth of Jason. You know Jason and the Argonauts. It's most famously in the Argonautica. And just the most quick recap of all time. Jason was going to be the king of something, but he didn't. Somebody took over. And so in order to become the king, he has to go get the golden fleece. And to do that, he gets the Argo, and he gets a bunch of heroes, including Heracles sometimes. The myths differ, to like go around and do island adventures. You know, those things in Greek mythology that famously take like 20 years, and like you meet witches and stuff. Medea is a witch. One thing that happens to Jason that's important.
Oh, that's interesting. So Medea being a witch is probably not an accident in terms of like these people finding that her to be so appealing, because they tend to do that. They tend to appeal to find like witches appealing because they see them as, you know, outcasts, misunderstood, victims of patriarchy and these kinds of things. So maybe that's what it is. I could be wrong, but
Well, yeah, you're not wrong, but they are.
Yeah.
Because,
Well, no, yeah, sure, but I'm saying like they like witches. That's what they gravitate to. That's who they relate to, you know. You know how like, and like as an aside, the LGBTQ activists, they tend to like stand for fictional characters like Pennywise and the Babadook. Don't know why. I mean, I can think of some things, but it just seems like it was just going back to what Teal Deer said before. they like find the worst people and they say, oh, those are our people. They find the worst. And I just think it's to be like, look at me, I'm against the grain. Look at me, I'm choosing the bear. I'm going against the grain. So I don't know. It's just what I think. But
yeah. Well, I think it's like, if I go back to the analysis from a relational web perspective, it's the idea you want to turn the entire world into judging people by their position in the relational web versus their actions. So if they can adopt these these characters that have engaged in horrific actions, they can adopt them and get everybody to see them as the good guy because of the consensus, then that's just another win for the dominance of the relational web over, judging people by the content of their character. But yeah, like the what I wanted to get into with the witches thing is, first of all, a lot of witches were accused of that by other women. They were the whole condemnation was initiated by other women. And the witch trials that I've actually looked at, like I've actually read, the people who were accused of witchcraft generally were really obnoxious. Like, and first of all, it wasn't all women. Almost everywhere, at least 30% of witchcraft, the people accused of witchcraft were men. And in Scandinavian countries, the majority of the people accused of witchcraft were men. But also, a lot of these people apparently, like, were just assholes. Like, they were doing things to their communities that were disruptive, dangerous, con artistry. They were just like all kinds of stuff that was extremely antisocial. And it almost starts to feel like you get an allegation of witchcraft when your neighbors are just shit and tired of you and your nonsense. And it's almost like adultery too. Like, the way that these laws were applied is, as long as you were not an intolerable human being who was engaging in all kinds of potentially deadly and or awful mischief, and I shouldn't use the word mischief, but just calamities, you were just like, if you were like a old lady herbalist who helped people through sickness and childbirth, you were left alone. In fact, you were more likely to be left alone if you were helpful to your community. But if you were like a man or a woman on the outskirts burying voodoo dolls, and like and travelers just mysteriously disappeared when they went past your stretch of the road, you were more likely to get hit with an accusation of witchcraft. But it wasn't really. I get the feeling like nobody actually believed in the witchcraft. They just were really tired of these people and what they were up to. And it's the same sort of thing with adultery. Like, no, I don't think if you were, I don't know, the butcher giving it to the tailor's wife, anybody really did anything. But once you started screwing everybody's virgin daughters, they were like, no, you're getting strung up. Like, it was a gradient. I mean, and people don't seem to realize that the Middle Ages was actually, they were pretty pragmatic and sensible about a lot of stuff. And so I'm like looking at these trials and I'm saying, you feminists have no idea what they're talking about. None whatsoever, as usual. And also the amount of women killed through witchcraft is completely exaggerated. The numbers that they throw around are basically a feminist scholar. Sorry, scholar. Excuse me. A feminist scholar just pulling things out of her ass, right? And the actual numbers are orders of magnitude lower. And in fact, in many cases, people who accused somebody of witchcraft falsely could themselves end up standing trial for a false accusation. So it was a lot more complicated than they're making out. There's a lot more nuance. They love that term nuance, but they never apply it against their own findings than they're making out. So I just wanted to put that out there. The entire mythology around witches is wrong. I don't know why they didn't. Why couldn't feminists be like, we want to be herbalists? Why can't we lionize the elder woman of the community that help women through childbirth or something? You know, the midwives. How come they're never like that? It's always the witches. Yeah, it's right back to that Lucretia versus
Well, I mean,
Madame Curie
Allison,
thing.
like, being an herbalist and like helping, that's a lot of work. Why do all that work when you can just be, you know, a lazy slob and then say that you're like doing magic? Like maybe, you know, you just do like some fucking bead work. I don't know what witches do. I assume it's not a lot. That's why it's so popular with modern women.
Yeah, if you
Oh,
actually
thank
like look at what any of them do, they like to talk about herbalism a lot, but it's literally just I'm going to go to the shop and buy herbs and like cook with them and make some tea and stuff, and they think that that's what it is. And other than that, it's all just aesthetics. They're not
It's
actually
all aesthetics.
they're not actually interested in the medicinal properties of herbs or other plants or flowers. They don't actually know how to
Yeah.
use them in any actual useful capacity. I also have to
And-
wonder how much this, the witch divide versus, actually understanding medicine and herbalism. Herbalism is actually at core just medicine. About 50% of all modern medicines are derived from plants anyway. There's a lot out there. It's just most people don't know what they are because they have no reason to anymore. But it does make me wonder, because so much of this modern witchcraft stuff, which descended out of, you find a lot of it with like Dianic Wicca, and it all descends from the thing that I'm getting kind of tired about talking about every goddamn time I'm here, the left Hegelian spark of the divine that you've got inside you, that Gnostic belief that you can alter vibrations by simply manifesting. You just will, you use that spark of the oversoul that's inside you to be able to do all of these wonderful things, apparently. Whether they just gravitate towards witchcraft because it lets them signal, I have the strongest and goodest of intentions. My intentions are so good they can actually change the world, but I don't actually have to like learn how to do anything. I don't have to prove. Herbalism, you have to prove that you can do something. You have to prove, okay, I have these herbs, I have cooked them, I have distilled them, I've boiled them, I've soaked them in the alcohol and extract. I've done whatever it is that you do with that. You've made your tinctures of opium or your tinctures of St. John's wort or whatever it is that you're going to make. There's some sort of proof in the pudding there, or the eating of the pudding as it would be, whatever you've laced that particular pudding with to have whatever effect it will be on people. There's an objective endpoint to that, whereas just sitting in front of a candle and throwing your energy out into the cosmos, altering your vibrations and rippling things across the ether to do whatever the hell it is that you think you're going to do. Attack Donald Trump for a lot of them, if you read the insane witch Reddit people. There was a massive drama on that as well. A bunch of them were like, we're going to do rituals and hex Donald Trump. And then like about a week later, they were screeching about how he had divine protection and divine wards and nothing was working. And in fact, their own lives were getting worse when they tried it, which I just thought was hilarious. Like maybe
Hilarious.
maybe your life just sucks anyway. And you're blaming everyone except yourself. And now because you've declared that I hate someone else, clearly me thinking about hating that other person is the thing that's making my life worse. Because he's doing it. It's not me. It's him. I had bad thoughts about someone, and this is divine retribution or some weird, I don't even know, strange people. But it makes me wonder if that's what it is. It's just they get to, do their social signaling of my intentions are the best intentions. Haha.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, again, like herbalist is they're judged by the well-being of others, if they improve their well-being or not. And it's a difficult it's a difficult skill or a difficult profession to pursue, because you also have to know where to find the herbs, how to process them, etc. It actually reminded me of before the industrialization of food, women in the US would actually be able to know how to process and exploit local foods, including like local berries and fruits. And that was completely lost. And feminism never talks
The
about
order
that.
is 10%.
The order is 10%?
Yep. I have looked this up because I am someone who likes to go out and forage and all this stuff. Of all the plant matter that humans can ingest, we eat 10% of it. We have basically lost 90% of the potential vegetable, fruit and stuff diet, because it's usually just stuff that doesn't scale economically well enough to be farmed, even though you can still use, like, I grow in my garden skirret. It's something called skirret. It's a root vegetable. It's a native to Europe. It's basically, if you took like parsnips and potatoes and kind of mixed them together, the problem is it grows in these like fingery fists. So you have to pull it out, snap bits off of it, and then peel them. And then there's sort of like a thin finger left. It's way more effort to process them than it is to rip an entire, sort of ovalish potato out of the ground, or a singular taproot long straight carrot. And skirret, you will almost never find it anywhere, because the economy of scaling up something like that, which is such a pain in the arse to process, it doesn't work. And so this is why when it comes to modern farming, we've eliminated about 90% of all the different, plants, fruits, vegetables, herbs, all this stuff that humans can eat. We're down to like 10%. And this is, I think, why so many people, I don't know, just kind of struggle a lot in life, and they just have no idea how much stuff they can eat. I mean, like other stuff in my garden. I'm going to use my garden a lot for the example here, because I like to farm on small scales. I have out there galangal. Now, galangal is something that I grow in my pond. It's an aquatic plant. It's an aquatic reed. Again, it's another European native. The root of that, if you pull that out, it's got a starchy root to it. You can just eat it as it is, but it's much better if you dry it out and you powder it, and it turns into something that's kind of halfway between ginger and turmeric. How many people know this? Basically none of them. But it's another thing that is, it's just
lost.
It's kind of lost, and just kind of an annoying thing to process, because they put down, their roots go down quite deep to form these big starchy nodes, and you've then got to pull them out, and they are a pain in the ass to pull out. Like trying to get that stuff out of that bog filter, it's horrible trying to get it out. It's not really worth it for what it produces, but I tried it anyway because I thought it was fun. Other things, again, somewhat difficult to scale. Cattails. You can eat, not cattails as in meow cattails, cattails as in things by the sides of ponds, cattails. You can eat every single part of that plant. You can eat the flowers, you can eat the seeds, you can eat the stalks, you can eat the stems. The stems are a very nice sort of starchy tuberous thing. The leaves and the stems are a bit tough. It's kind of like crunching through bamboo. It's completely fine. Flowers are a little bit floral tasting. They're not particularly fantastic, and the seeds are just crunchy seeds. But you can eat everything about them. But trying to scale those up to a farmable state is a pain in the ass, so nobody does it, because you have to have these like long straight rows. You basically would have to grow them in rice paddies. But the problem is, because their roots go down deeper, again, unlike rice, which is quite easy to pull out because the roots don't go as far down, and also you're tending just to take the grains off the top of it. Just trying to mechanize that, like trying to, I don't even know how you do it. Have a tractor that can submerge itself halfway in the water and drive along these roads. It's not going to happen. And also, I suppose nutritionally they're not fantastic, but it's a nice survival food, if nothing else. You find an entire riverbed full of them and think, right, the next half an hour of my life is pulling those out and crunching the roots down. Okay, sure, you gotta do what you gotta do, but no one would know how to do that.
I've heard that the flour from the roots can make a good replacement for actual flour, but
yeah, a lot of
the overall
roots from plant things like that do. You dry them out and just powder them. They all have different sort of flavors. You can make like cattail crackers. They're really easy to make. You just roll it out and just, dry it out, powder it, roll it out with a little bit of water in it, and you have a cracker. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's bland, but oh well.
But the overall point of all of this is that, like you said, 90% of all of that knowledge was lost. Well, guess who was probably processing all of that? And feminists never talk about that. It's a huge amount of information that women used to control about how to turn the environment into things that could feed people. And it's gone because of industrialization. And feminists never talk about any of that. Just like they prefer the witches to the herbalists. They don't talk about how the women in the past, the much maligned homemakers, which actually are more like homesteaders, had all of this knowledge of how to survive in the environments that they were part of. Right. So, and I remember watching this because it was a YouTube video on all of the different kinds of pies and baked goods and jams and other stuff. And it was like every region had its own particular berries and fruits and tubers, and they all knew how to process it, how to harvest and process it. And all of that was lost. And instead of actually thinking about that and thinking about, well, let's call ourselves, no, let's look up to the herbalists and the female homesteaders who made life possible in the West, and no, let's look up to the witches who made everybody's lives miserable. What your selection of female role models leaves a great deal to be desired, feminists. At least for me. But let's shall we continue?
Is he helps Hera, who is disguised as an old sad woman, across some river. So now Hera really likes Jason, and he's always got good luck because of that. And they land on Colchis, where the Golden Fleece is, and Hera is like, hey, there's no way Jason's not gonna die. We need to convince Medea to help him. So she has, Hera the god, has Eros shoot Medea with an arrow and make her immediately fall in love with Jason. So Medea, even though she feels quite guilty, betrays her family and helps Jason out. And while they're escaping...
okay, we're glossing here. Medea kills her brother. She feels quite guilty. She kills her own brother to slow her father's pursuit during the escape. I also want to point something out. I'm actually feeling more for Jason because it feels like he's just being screwed around with by a bunch of women. Did Jason say, "Hey, I want overly attached girlfriend to fall in love with me"? Was that ever part of the plan, or is it just assumed that if Medea loves Jason, that he has to tolerate it or submit to it? Right? You see where I'm getting? Is there any consideration for the fact that Jason may not want all of this crap happening to him? I mean, I'm sure he wants the Golden Fleece, but does he necessarily want Medea? Was his consent considered in all of this? Am I just talking from out of nowhere? I don't know.
Men's consent in these things does not matter. It's another trope that feminists like to do where they'll talk about arranged marriages. And even if you look at pop culture and they talk about you're going to marry this person, the woman is always like, oh no, how could I possibly? He won't. While the guy is always just sort of leering and salivating, like he just can't wait to rape her on their wedding night. If you actually go historically when it comes to arranged marriages, generally, in a lot of cases, neither party was thrilled about it because they weren't interested. Or if it was arranged a little bit more communally because they were both in the same sort of community, they were people who already knew each other and their families had probably already poked them in the same direction anyway. This idea that any sort of relationship, an arranged thing like this is this one-sided where only the woman is the hard done to party, it just seems to be a trope of modernity, and it's one that feminists rather enjoy. You'll never find them talking about men who were forced into marrying women that they had no interest in, or in some cases were actively repulsed by because they needed some sort of military alliance or something like that. I mean,
I
there was
remember
actually an
reading.
example of that in this country, Henry VIII. I think it was Anne of Cleves. He found her to be hideously ugly. There was a bunch of stories about how attractive he found her. Apparently, it was not very much. So they ended up getting, what was it? Divorced. Yeah, it was a divorce that. Yes, that one was one of the ones which was divorced. But apparently they stayed friends after that anyway. Like they were basically just pushed into marrying each other, even though they were apparently not that interested in each other in that way. But after the divorce, they still like wrote letters and stuff to each other. Apparently they quite liked each other as people. They just had no romantic interest in each other.
Mm. Yeah, that's I remember because I've been reading about this kind of arranged stuff throughout history. I actually read something on the European kings and mistresses and wives and stuff. And yeah, there was no, like in many cases they did not consent to this stuff. They just sort of held their nose for their country. And a lot of these women they were not attracted to at all, which is why they often had mistresses. And what was interesting is the king would have mistresses, but almost always in Europe, the mistress themselves would be married. And usually boons would accrue to her and her husband for this arrangement because it seemed to their mind in the Middle Ages that it would be worse to take a woman who wasn't married. So that's something that people don't know. And again, it was sort of almost like a palliative for the fact that the guy had to perform for a woman that he did not choose and probably was not attracted to. And he had to do that in order to create an heir for the country. And it's really amusing because when you read that, you get a sense that these guys were just men dealing with a situation that was actually quite unpleasant. Being forced to reproduce like a bull. And yeah, there's some funny things. One example, this wasn't actually a king, was there was a aristocratic man who a pope, I believe, wanted to make an arrangement. This was the time when the popes just had concubines and nobody even commented on it until the Reformation, when they were like, you guys are a bunch of sluts. We don't think you should be heading the church or whatever. That's a very, very loose appraisal of history in that. So don't take it to the bank. But so the Pope was trying to get this guy to marry either a niece or a daughter, and the girl was like 12, and they got the arranged marriage, but the guy was like, "No, I'm not consummating." And the Pope was like, "Yes, you are, because then I'm not going to let you squirm out of this." He's like, "She's 12," and so they chased him around Europe for a bit. Try to chase him down, and they finally cornered him, and he like did the bare minimum, and then just was like, okay, everybody's traumatized, the marriage is consummated, and please leave me the fuck alone. And I just found this entire like sequence, I know it's horrifying, but it's also sort of blackly comedic. Is it okay to say that? I mean, it's horrifying.
Get
but it's
back here and fuck my daughter, damn it. There you go.
Yeah, and it sort of punctuates how unpleasant this all was. I'm not exactly sure if like anything really happened. It's just that they spent a night together. But yeah, it was it just punctuates how unpleasant all of this was. And again, it was the aristocracy. It was anybody who had anything to do with like an inheritance that did this kind of stuff. Everybody else was just, even in the Middle Ages, were just sort of, especially in Northern Europe, they were just doing it normally. Just a courtship, getting married in your mid to late 20s. There you go, to a person that you actually knew and liked. If you didn't have property, it wasn't an issue, right? So you might as well just get somebody you like, if you're a peasant or if you're a tradesperson. But yeah, it's a lot different than what people think it was.
All right, I got
Okay.
a couple super chows, and then we'll play more of the video. So, official reverse traditionalism channel on YouTube gave us $5 on Super Chow and said, Teal Deer, is there one book you would recommend for someone who wants to read and interpret studies and identify statistical fallacies in them? Teal Deer heard that, but
one book, no. Identifying nonsense when it comes to any sort of peer-reviewed stuff, you just have to, I don't even know, you just have to read a bunch of it and just sort of understand basic methodologies. In some cases, it's just very easy if you read the sorts of feminist peer-reviewed stuff that I've spent an annoying amount of time doing over the years. It's replete with very basic errors. You'll probably spot a bunch of them as it is. Otherwise, like the most common sorts of statistical errors that you're going to find in a lot of papers is it's the lowest level of statistical fuckery that you're going to find. It's things like small control groups, very biasedly selected or located control groups, or groups of people, the outright removal of control groups, or just straight up p-hacking, or changing the metrics that you're using. Just like you don't find what you want using one methodology, you take the same data and then you just decide to change your methodology for whatever reason. They just change whatever the formula is that they're putting it through, whatever regression it is. They'll just change things like that till they get what they want as the outcome. I mean, that's just p-hacking anyway. So yeah, if you want to know how to find out problems with statistics when it comes to like this sort of social so-called science thing, just read up on the concept of p-hacking. That'll explain like half of it.
all right. And Dark Kikimora gave us $5 and said, do you suppose the reason that feminists call themselves witches, but trad wives never call themselves Kikimoras? What? Is because the trad wives have better shit to do? Because Allison has previously said 1950s trad wives were the first demographic to have leisure time. Having nothing better to do compared to that would have to be a pretty low bar.
Okay, I'm gonna think, yes, the 50s housewives was an invention of Hollywood. Prior to that, women were doing a heck of a lot of work. Just see how Teal Deer described making something out of the things in his garden. That was the kind of work women were doing prior to the industrialization of food. All right. And there wasn't, like if you get your mail by train, you're not going to be able to have a heck of a lot of staples. You have to actually figure out how to get a living off of your environment. And that's the work that women did. That's why when men had to have a housekeeper or something, or a female presence in their home doing that work in order to allow survival. So again, 50s housewife is an invention it's a post-second industrial revolution invention, a post-Madison Avenue invention. Like it's basically a construct. And it's very, very unique in human history that women didn't have to work in order to maintain the survival of their families and their communities. And for whatever reason, that wasn't good enough. And honestly, I would say that does sort of speak in a sort of a dark way well of women. You took away their job and then they went nuts. And
Yeah.
like maybe Devil's Idle Hands or Devil's Playground should have considered that before we did that. All right.
Well, the other thing I'll say about the trad wife thing is it like just like the witch thing, it's just an aesthetic. Most of the online trad wife stuff is just that. It's just an aesthetic. It's not actually a lifestyle. They're just essentially trying to make other women online jealous. Like that's that's all it is. So yeah, don't look at what you see on the internet that is presenting itself as trad, especially if it's coming from women, and take it at face value, because it is most likely nothing but marketing their own like social media clout. That's all it is. It's not real. It's just a skin suit. But anyway, let's play more of the video.
Kills her own brother to distract her father so Jason and the Argonauts, and now also Medea can leave. Medea and Jason get married. You know, it's a love story. Medea is banned from her home country now, obviously because she killed her brother and everything. So they take the golden fleece and they go back. Ioclus, is that where Jason is from? King Peleus is like, I see that you've brought the golden fleece, but like also no, I'm gonna be king, you're not gonna be the king. And so Medea, in anger, tricks King Peleus's daughters into killing him. And obviously that doesn't make Jason the king because they just murdered the king, so they have to escape. So they escape to Corinth. And they're not royal, but they're just like happy. It's a love story. They have
Okay, wait. I'm going to actually blow this whole idea of happiness out of the water. All right. Let's set this up from Jason's side because nobody is actually looking at it from a position of what the situation this guy is in. Okay?
Yeah, he just
has
fought a
Hera.
bunch of skeletons and a hydra and like dealt with Poseidon. I don't know. I watched the movie. That's what I
Yeah.
was assuming. Jason
that's
the Argonauts.
Okay.
The Colossus
know.
of Rhodes, you know.
I'm actually talking about this whole
Jason just
Hera.
spent the last 10 years going
Oh, no,
through
I'm
a
sorry.
fucking Ray Harryhausen museum piece. His mind is blown.
Actually, it wasn't Colossus of Rhodes. It was Talos. Talos, the Iron Golem. But anyway, sorry.
Okay. All right. So no, that was great. But let's look at the whole situation with the marriage between Jason and Medea. Okay. So we have a situation that this is a gift from Hera. And I want to remind everybody what happens when you refuse a gift from Hera. She don't like it. And she will consider it her career to end you if you refuse a gift from her. I'm trying to get I'm trying to get a specific example, but anyway, so you don't refuse gifts from either Aphrodite or Hera, and if you do, you're in a world of pain. And Jason has to know that because he lives in this world. So here we have Medea being delivered up, and this is again a gift from Hera. If he refuses it, his life is over, basically. He doesn't become king of Okokus, and yeah. So, and all other calamities befall him. Is that consent? Huh? Like, did he actually consent to this? You marry this woman or your life is destroyed. Is that consent? Like, I know that in ancient Greece, they didn't have these kinds of concepts. However, if we're going to apply modern concepts to Medea, we should allow those concepts to be applied to Jason. And the answer is no. He doesn't even have the benefit of love pollen that she does. Like she's had all of her hormones activated towards him. All he has the benefit of is, I got to do this, and if I don't, Hera's going to smite me. That's not consent. So, and again, if we're going to bring in modern readings, let's do it across the board for Jason as well. This is a non-consensual marriage on his part. He is forced to marry this woman. Now, maybe she's attractive, but I don't know. Like, she's throwing off a lot of red flags, let's just say. You killed your brother so I could escape. All right, that's bit of a red flag there. But anyway, let's get married because if I don't, Hera will smite me. Or Aphrodite. Aphrodite's even worse, right? So let's yeah, and then I'll have sex with you and we'll have children. None of this is consensual on my part because I just don't want to be smoted, right? And nobody considers that because they're just like, oh yeah, Jason, he's a beautiful princess. Of course he's gonna go for it. I'll just have her wipe the blood off of her, her brother's blood off her hands. He'll be fine. That's the way men are, right? And it's like nobody considers that. Nobody imports the modern reading for the male character in all of this. And if you do import the modern reading, what actual loyalty does he have to a marriage that's coerced? Huh? That he has to do in order to win his kingship and not be smited by two very vengeful goddesses. There's zero consent on his part, zero legitimate consent. I mean, if we walk through it with like the modern eye to like inner monologue, you know, he's probably saying to himself, well, she's a beautiful princess, so of course I consent. But really think about it. No. And again, what loyalty does he owe to something that was coerced out of him? Right? It really changes the reading of Medea's actions, doesn't it?
Yeah. Wow, it's almost like it's not that simple.
Yeah, it's not that simple. And again, if you want to apply modern standards to the Greek story, you should apply them both ways. And when you apply them both ways, I'm afraid Jason's a victim of coercion. And as such, expecting him to stay loyal to someone he was forced to marry and forced to have sex with, it just is in terms of our ethics, it's not ethical. Like we're post-Christian marriage. We believe both parties should consent, and neither party should consent at threat of death. Well, guess what? Guess what the threat that Jason was operating under? Okay, but she doesn't see this. And none of the people watching even considered this reading. None of them. It doesn't even enter their mind. Isn't that interesting? Okay.
Well, what you have to understand is he is a man. So when a woman approaches him, you know, arms bloodied, spattered all over her, and says, "I just killed my brother, now put a baby in me." I mean, obviously he's going to be all over that. That's just how it works. I mean, the guy's brain is currently exploding with maths and algebra, thinking, is she hot enough to be this crazy?
Oh, it's funny because it's horrible. Okay, let's keep going. We probably should get a bit further to the things that she said, huh?
And they live there. Fun. So this is Medea at the start of the play by Euripides. She's kind of an immigrant. She no longer has a homeland. She's made a lot of enemies, but she has dedicated herself
by killing
to
people
Jason and their family. In the play by Euripides, they have 2 sons. And she has kind of given up everything, including her homeland, to be with this man and have these children. And of course...
Okay. She's made a lot of enemies, and it's almost like, oh, she's a victim of being... Yeah, but consider everything she's been doing. Like, I don't know. I think she's earned those enemies. Okay, sorry.
The play opens with Jason having left Medea to marry Glauke, the daughter of King Creon. That's how the play opens. And this is, of course, bad, because Jason, in the eyes of the gods, including Hera and like the law of the land, is married to Medea, and you can't just marry someone else. Medea is famous.
What about when you're famous? No, I don't know. I don't know that it's the idea of, well, I don't know. It's ancient Greece. It's not modern, but okay, let's just keep going.
Like, I just want to point out that this is not the behavior of a man who's happy. I just want to say. No. And the whole idea of being coerced into it because it's a gift from Hera and Aphrodite, you know, and now he's going to get his the Aphrodite and Hera are going to show him through Medea what happens when you deny one of their gifts, shall we say, and it's going to be horrifying. Okay, let's keep going.
Famously a witch and a murderer. So King Creon, worried about his daughter who's going to marry Jason, is like, Medea, you have to get out of here. And Medea convinces King Creon, like, I totally will. I'll totally go, but you have to give me one day to like sort out everything. And Medea uses this one...
Creon, you are making Ned Stark's mistake. You are making the exact mistake that Ned Stark made. Wait. Maybe Ned Stark is making the exact mistake Creon made, King Creon made, considering the antiquity. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Ned went to Cersei, or whatever her name is. Cersei.
You're talking about Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones?
Cersei Lannister, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went to her and said, you have like, go get your incest children out of the city. I'm going to tell your husband what you've been up to. And then she took that opportunity to kill him instead. That's your first mistake. Just tell her to leave. Don't give her a day. Okay, let's see what horrible thing Medea gets up to.
Plot the murder of Glauke, King Creon, and also her children that she has with Jason.
Wow. Well, I guess if you're going to do it, you better go big, right? At this point, it's no longer like Medea is coerced by Aphrodite or Hera. At what point does her actual violation come into this? Right? And why don't we look at it this point of it? Like Hera and Aphrodite are basically delivering Jason of the Argonauts up to her, sans his consent. He doesn't have a choice in the matter. And now that he sort of wants to leave the arrangement that he never had a choice in the matter, she's going full scorched earth on everybody. Seems like his betrayal of the oath, presumably, is I want to get out of this relationship. Her betrayal is I'm going to kill everybody and make your life a living fucking hell if you try. These two are not the
tomato,
same.
tomato, etc. Potato, potato.
These two are not the same kind of reaction here. This is not the same reaction. And honestly, couldn't this have been solved if Aphrodite also shot Jason? Couldn't they just be like, okay, well, let's do both of them and then everything will be fine, right? I mean, maybe they'll be a little bit Bonnie and Clyde with the killing people, but they'll at least both want to be in the relationship. Do they consider that, or is it just they're just capricious and awful like this? Both Hera and Aphrodite. The answer is they are. They are both capricious and awful, right? And this disaster again, like Jason's simply saying, okay, I want out of this relationship I was coerced into, and she's like, no, you do that, and you will suffer. I'm like, wow. And she's the one who's the family annihilator is our heroine, is it? I just love feminist thinking. Okay, let's keep going.
To destroy Jason. She tricks Jason into thinking she's like totally cool with this. She sends her children to this wedding, while their father does a bigamy with this tainted dress and tiara. Glauke is like 20 years old to Jason's 50, and she just likes the pretty things and
well, obviously the solution to this is to kill her. Also, is this 2020, like, is he actually 50 or just like 38 or something?
I don't know.
I feel like
what are you talking about? What are you doing?
I feel like she's exaggerating the age difference to make it worse. Keep going.
We are in the current era where a 2-year age difference makes you a pedophile, because that's how things work these days. Well, you're 30 and she's 28? Oh my god. Outrage. I don't know where this has come from in the recent times. It's really weird.
So maybe two decades, like 2 decades. So if he starts as a young man, and young was really young then, as young as like 16, he could be in his mid-30s, right? I guess she had to reach for the worst kind of, because it isn't actually specified. So she's just reaching for the worst. 50s, you guys, 50s. Everybody knows that a 50-year-old man is just an old, disgusting prune. Lecherous, horrible. No, he's probably in his late 30s, early 40s, right? But you can't say that because you want to make it as bad as possible. Okay. Keep going.
Lights on fire. The children have already been taken back to Medea's house. She murders them, and then Jason shows up, and he's like, "Oh man." She flies away at the end, and
No, he's not like, oh man. Like, Jesus Christ, lady. He's like, at one point, he's begging her to let him touch his kids one last time. This is the most manipulative mischaracterization of this story. Oh, why am I surprised?
Yeah, this is literally like the start of his downfall, where it just like completely destroys his life and he ends up being drunk and miserable on a beach and crushed under his ship. This is kind of where it all begins. Like,
Yeah.
this is life ruining for him. He doesn't just go, oh no, I guess I'm going to have to, I don't know, find some new people to hang out with. No, this like ruins his life completely. He never recovers from this.
Yeah. And this is how she characterizes it. And again, I want to point out, this is coercion. Like, if we're going to apply modern standards to this, Jason had no choice, either marrying Medea or having sex with her, because she was a gift from Aphrodite and Hera. And if you deny a gift from Aphrodite and Hera, you are ruined. Right? Your life is over. As we see, now that he's denied the gift, he's basically said, you know what? I would like to have a relationship I had a say in. I'm going to leave this one, go to a relationship I actually chose. Okay? That's what I'm going to do. And that's his response to all of this coercion by Hera and Aphrodite. I mean, his response is, no, I'm just going to kill your children. And then as a result of that, his life is ruined. Like, again, at what point is Jason responsible for any of this? Like, again, you refuse a gift from Hera and Aphrodite, your life is ruined. As we see, proven, once he refused the gift, his life was ruined. So there was no consent, even initially, no real consent, even initially, to Medea and the relationship with her. So we're just watching like the two goddesses horribly destroy some man's life. Yes, that is, yep. That's pretty much Greek tragedy. Actually, does this count as tragedy? Is there a fatal flaw here? Aside from Jason being like, I want to assert some autonomy over my own body. Is that the fatal flaw that he had? No. If you're a man, your body is property of Hera or Aphrodite or Medea. And if you don't submit to all of these women, your life is ruined. Wow, that's boy, history rhymes. Okay, let's
how he goes out and how much this thing destroys his life. I have found myself wondering whether, because like being crushed by your own ship, weirdly specific thing to have happen to you. It does make me wonder if there was supposed to be some sort of subtext to it, that it might have actually been him killing himself, like intentionally sort of unanchoring his ship so that it would fall in such a way that it would do it to him. Because it's like, oh, this is my ship. It's like the only thing I've still got left. I can go out on my own terms using the only thing I still have left in my life, the only thing I can control anymore. I do find myself wondering if that is supposed to be an implication there, as opposed to just some sort of slightly darkly comedic thing that happens. Because, if he's a sailor of however many decade or whatever that he is, he would know if his ship was, not ship shape, as it were, and the mast was just going to randomly fall over. I do wonder somewhat.
Yeah. Okay, so his reaction, he has direct grief over the children. He calls them dearest, asks to touch their bodies one last time, asks to bury them. He grieves the sons specifically, names them, mourns their lost future, the line that ends with them, the inheritance that goes nowhere. The grief is genuine and the play renders it as genuine. He weeps, he calls on Zeus to witness what has been done. So he grieves his sons, and it's the most extended of his speeches in the play. It's actually really sounds very tragic, and she just glosses over it as, well, I guess that's a complication removed. And again, like these children exist. If feminists actually extended their phenomenology, is that the right word, about rape to men? Jason was raped. He was raped by Medea. Unwittingly. Like, even in the beginning, you could say this was unwitting on her part. She didn't realize like the level of coercion that's involved here. Like, you either have sex with this woman or your life is ruined, or you get killed, right? Or just everything bad you could possibly imagine happens to you. That's coercion, and by the feminist definition, that would be rape. So he is mourning the children that he had with a woman as a result of being forced to have sex with her, forced to marry her, and essentially raped. Right? And this woman is glossing over that like it's meaningless. And yeah, I know I'm interpreting this from a modern lens, but we're interpreting all of this from a modern lens. And actually, maybe the ancient Greeks sort of understood this too. Right? They had arranged marriages. They knew that it wasn't like the consent of the man was considered particularly important when issues of gods and lineage were involved. Okay? And now the one good thing that came out of this horrible situation has been killed. And he's sitting on a beach crying. And this woman is saying, let's go back. How did she characterize this again? I'm just curious. Can you go back, Brian? Or is that too difficult?
She just lights on fire. Her father grabs her and lights on fire. The children have already been taken back to Medea's house. She murders them. And then Jason shows up and he's like, oh man. She flies away at the end and
God damn, you are a... Can you believe that? Oh man. That's how she characterizes it. That's how she characterizes this entire sequence and what has happened to Jason. Oh man. What a callous, deceitful way of characterizing it.
Shall I continue?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
The thing that pulls the sun, and there's dragons, and she has the bodies of her two children, and she's like, see ya. And she buries her sons in the land of Hera. So yeah, like, I'm not even joking. Euripides, as like me reading as an adult woman, felt very feminist to me. The discussion they were having felt very modern.
Yeah, actually, I would agree. That is very feminist. Looking at a man crying in grief over his children that he had as a result of a marriage that was coerced, and sex that was coerced from him. So as a result of his coercion, and again, feminists would term that rape, a marriage, children that were a result of him being raped, and he's just watched their mother murder them and take them away from him. And he's crying on a beach, and this feminist characterizes that as, oh man. Yeah, that's very feminist. This entire thing that I'm watching is incredibly feminist. Completely incapable of understanding humanity. Okay.
We hear from Jason, who's like, listen, Medea, I'm doing this for you. I am going to marry a princess, and I'm going to move away, and I'm going to be rich and wealthy, and I'm going to be the king, and I'm going to have children with the princess, and your sons will have royal stepbrothers. That's going to be good for them. I'm doing this for you, actually. And the way Euripides writes Medea responding this just feels very modern. Of course, let me read to you from this translation, which is, Penguin Classics, translated with an introduction by Philip Villicott. I liked this one. I don't know if there's like a better one. Okay, this is Medea talking about her plight. Still more, a foreign woman coming among new laws, new customs, needs the skill of magic to find out what her home could not teach her, how to treat the man whose bed she shares, and if in this exacting toil we are successful and our husband does not struggle, under the marriage yoke our life is enviable. Otherwise death is better. If a man grows tired of the company at home, he can go out and find a cure for his tediousness. We wives are forced to look to one man only, and they will tell us we at home live free from danger. They go out to battle. Fools! I'd rather stand 3 times in front of line than bear one child. But the same arguments do not apply to you and me. You have this city, you have your father's home, the enjoyment of your life and your friends' company. I am alone. I have no city. Now my husband insults me. I was taken as plunder from a land, as the earth's edge. I have no mother, brother, nor any of my own blood.
Plunder? Oh yeah, this is very feminist because she's completely gaslighting the actual situation. You weren't taken as plunder. You killed your freaking brother in order to escape with this man. Like what? Okay, continue.
Extremity. So good. I also like this one.
Yeah, of course it's good to you. Of
Now
course
read
that's
the bit
good.
where she complains about how she can still be sad despite living in the highest, best society that has ever existed historically up until this point in time, and how that's men's fault that she can still be depressed about things. Read that bit. Go on. Do it. Do it. Do it. It's funny.
Yeah, and why should Jason even have to give her an excuse? He never consented to the freaking marriage in the first place in any realistic sense. Right? It just sounds like a guy being like, okay, trying to say it's me, it's not you, it's me. Right? And no doubt he's been saddled with this Gorgon, which again, he didn't consent to. And now he's trying to extricate himself from her, and he's trying to frame it in a way that appeals to her narcissism. And we are reading this as he is the problem. And again, this whole reading completely flips when you realize he didn't consent to this woman. He didn't consent to any of this. He was forced into it because all the Greeks know what happens when you refuse a gift from Hera or refuse a gift from Aphrodite. You are double plus fucked. Your life is over. So he had no choice in the matter. And now he's trying to extricate himself and have some autonomy over the issue. And it's really rich that she talks about a man toiling under the yoke of marriage. No, it's actually a man toiling under the yoke of you raping him, Medea. And no sympathy at all. Like, yeah, I feel for her. She was forced into this by Aphrodite and Hera. Although, again, I don't know why these two women, these two goddesses, couldn't have considered also, pointing the arrow at Jason, so there was a little less turmoil in the arrangement. But I'm guessing that's because that's the way gods and goddesses roll. They don't give a crap. Their gifts are curses. All right, so Jason is saddled non-consensually with this Gorgon of a woman who's killed her brother. She's killed like a bunch of kings and their children. And he's like, okay, how do I extricate myself from this relationship I didn't consent to in the first place? And he's like, okay, well, I'll tell her that it's for her benefit, because yeah, maybe that will calm her. Nope. And then she has the audacity to talk about a man, or women being, if they're set aside by their husbands. Okay, let's keep going.
Once again, I do find myself wondering to how much the nature of women was known and understood by, like, the ancient Greeks. As I said at the beginning, with the women being more likely to war and violence and flipping that on its head for the sake of being fun. It makes me wonder if the Greeks had the sort of a similar view that we have now, where it's social media is Call of Duty for women, so you don't kill fake people and get them messed up. You do it to real people because it's fun. And whether ancient Greeks were basically like, well, when you're a goddess, humanity is just the Sims for you. And that's just what the goddesses liked to do. Now get in that swimming pool so I can sell the ladder.
So I got a couple super chows, and I just want you to let you know I got. Anyway, I got a couple super chows, or super chats rather. From Albert Nader Retro gives us $5 Canadian and says, "When does Jason get his goalie mask?" Oh wait, that's in the sequel, number 3 to be exact.
Oh brother, this guy stinks.
And then I got another one from Albert Nader Retro for $5 Canadian who says, "Wait, threat of death is bad. Way to take the romance out of it, Allison. Sheesh." Okay. Let's keep going then.
So you're banished. I will not desert a friend. I have carefully considered to see that you and the children are not sent away with an empty purse or unprovided. You no doubt hate me, but I could never bear ill will towards you. Euripides is so good at writing that guy. That guy,
the guy who was coerced into the relationship and is trying to exit without having, exploding the landmine of the woman who kills people that get in their way. Like that guy. Yeah, lady. That guy, huh? That rape victim trying to assert bodily autonomy again. She doesn't even realize what she's saying. She has no clue what she's saying. None whatsoever. Because it has never entered her mind to look at the situation from Jason's point of view. She just assumes that he consented to Medea, like, because she's got that real archaic kind of attitude towards male sexuality. You just present them an attractive princess who's murdered people, and they're like, yeah, I'm all up with that. I'm all up in that. I have that. That's all the consent you need, right, lady? It's probably her generation too. They have a problem with that. Gen X or Gen Z women, Gen X women like me, we understand that men cannot consent to sex. Gen Z women do not understand that. The attitude towards men has gotten worse over the last couple decades, right? So, Gen X women, we know that we have to get consent from our sexual partners. Gen Z women, it's a hit and miss with them. They're not aware of that, which is why they use weapons like 2 to 3 times more than any generation or men to rape their victims, their sexual partners. Like it's actually getting ridiculous now how sexually violent this generation of women is. And by ridiculous, I mean horrifying. But yeah, her attitude is right in line with that. Right in line with that inability to recognize the fact that men have the right to consent to sex too. And that when the alternative to Jason to consenting to Medea is earning the ire of 2 very powerful goddesses who will make it their life's work to end his, that's not consent. All right, we can, if Teal Deer wants to add something to that.
No, I'm good. I'm just going to remind people, yes, that is a thing. It's called the millennial shift. Look it up. It's very illuminating. And interestingly, there's another concurrent study to that, whose name I cannot remember, either the title nor the author, but the opinions of women in society are all increasing except for one. So we think women are smarter than ever. We think they're just better than ever. They're wiser than ever. They're doing all of these things. And yet the only metric by which opinions of women have decreased is in agency. We think women are, as a society, just better than ever. They're wonderful things, but they can't do anything. It was just an interesting attitude survey of people.
It tracks. All I'm saying is that tracks.
Yep. And as it turns out, when the thoughts of women's agency decreases, the rapiness increases. Huh. Interesting.
old, and he's like, I'm doing this for us. Like, and then Medea responds, of course, you filthy coward. If I knew any worse name for such unmanliness, I'd use it. So you've come. You, my worst enemy, come to me. Oh, it's not courage, this looking friends in the face after betraying them. It's not even audacity, it's a disease. The worst a man can have, pure shamelessness. However, it is as well you came to say what I have to say will ease my heart. To hear it said will make you wince. Oh, this is so good. I love her. I love Medea. She has this like righteous anger. Why is Jason allowed to blow up her life and her family, and then he has the audacity to be like, I'm doing this for you. You're my friend. Like, why are you so mad? What are you so mad about? Ah, I love that she just says no. She doesn't have to accept it. She's not going to. She will exact a revenge so severe that Jason will never recover. In the play, she really struggles with murdering her children. Like, you know, obviously. She plans.
Obviously. Is this woman's fan still in the vertical chat? Have they said anything further? Out of curiosity.
What was the question?
Is this woman's fans in the vertical chat? Have they said anything further?
No, they've been pretty quiet. Let me see.
Well, they already
No,
called
they've-
you names, so they've won. They don't need to be here anymore.
Yeah, they've done the damage. They left afterwards. Nobody's
What a
saying
joke.
anything. So
Okay.
it's all right. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The
Anyway,
lady's
Unbelievable.
honor was protected, and you've commented on this video, thus boosting it in the algorithm. Good job, guys. You did it.
Yeah. All right. So So we know that Jason didn't consent to the marriage or sex with Medea. All right. But yet this is okay. And he is trying to exit the relationship with Medea, the relationship he didn't consent to, he was coerced into, even though the play never even really mentions it. Maybe it's just intended to be inferred. Maybe everybody watching this knows how horrific this is. And he does, when he's trying to exit the relationship, he frames it in a way that this is for your benefit, Medea, because he's dealing with a woman who kills people who get in their way, right? And this creator has reframed all of this to make him that guy, right? And to laud what Medea is doing. Sort of like they seem to be in love with the Gone Girl woman. All right, so first of all, she stripped the divine coercion. The opening of the video skips Hera and Aphrodite's arrangement entirely. She mentions Medea is shot with an arrow by Aphrodite and Eros and falls in love, treats it as a romantic complication and moves on. Hera's coercion of Jason, the divine threat of divine destruction if he refuses the favor, does not appear at all. She doesn't even considers that point of view. That's how she's building up Medea as a feminist hero. She completely omits the situation for the man, the coercion of the man, the fact that he doesn't have any kind of autonomous choice in the matter. The arrangement at the foundation gets coded as background mythological flavor. So when we have to consider the situation for the man, that's just mythology. That's just Greek stuff, right? Rather than the engineered situation both parties were trapped in. Once that's gone, the story becomes Jason met a woman and married her. That's not what happened. Jason was coerced into marrying this woman, which is the modern frame for free relationships, which isn't what happened here. Okay? The only person, even if it's coerced, that Medea was shot by the arrow of love, right? The only person here who's getting what they want from this relationship, aside from Jason not imploding his life, which I guess you could frame as him getting what he wants, he's not dying, is Medea. And everything downstream of that gets evaluated as if the marriage was freely chosen by both, which it wasn't. So her entire framing is omitting information in order to construct Medea as the wronged party, when in fact she's not. She's not the wronged party. Jason is the wronged party. And Jason is the wrong party when you realize he didn't consent to any of this in the first place, which she can't really conceive of, because she's got this regressive view of men that their consent to marriage and sex is irrelevant. Right? If this was if we reverse this and Jason was the one who was shot by the arrow and Medea was the one who basically consented because if she refused Hera's gift, she'd be destroyed, this woman would realize that it was a coerced situation. But she doesn't, because she doesn't understand that men have a right to bodily autonomy. She thinks that doesn't even enter her understanding of the world. Men having a right to bodily autonomy? I never. And then and from that essential misunderstanding comes everything else. And this is why I'm always harping on the sexual assault statistics and the fact that the ones that are the most accurate, they actually capture the sexual abuse of men, and they are in a time frame that doesn't reduce false memories, right? They find parity. So out there in the real world, women are engaging in sexual coercion at the same rates as men. That's the most likely conclusion from the stats, from the most accurate stats. That's why I keep pushing this, because everything rests, the entire edifice of feminist bullshit rests on the idea that rape is something that men do, right? And also women who've been patriarchally tainted or some crap. They always have their hand waves for female rapists. Once they're forced to acknowledge that women engage in sexual violence at approximately the same rate as men, their entire belief system falls. None of what she's saying makes any sense if this woman was capable of conceiving of the fact that Jason was coerced. And in fact, I want to point out that men being coerced by goddesses is not something that that was foreign to Greek storytelling. Consider Odysseus. I think it was Circe that coerced him. Like he was forced
Circe. I believe so.
He was forced to pursue a sexual relationship, either Circe or the other one, Calypso. And again, the modern reading is just her, what a slut, right? Meanwhile, every night he's crying for his family. Okay? I think the Greeks may have had an awareness of this. And it was part of the tradition of their tragedy. The fact that men often didn't have a choice themselves. So they may have been completely aware of what they were writing with Medea and Jason. And boy, when you look at it from those terms, Medea is a terrible fucking human being. Because yes, she didn't choose to fall in love with Jason, but she apparently chooses to murder everybody in her path, including her own children. She didn't have to choose that. I mean, maybe they could have had a conversation and she could have presented some kind of reasonableness. Because I mean, I think at the point where we're at the story here, we can fairly well ascertain that Medea is not a reasonable human being. Maybe if at some point Jason got the impression she was reasonable, he could have explained this and said, you know, I didn't get an arrow. I didn't get a choice. I would like a choice. Instead, he's forced to frame things in terms of her benefit. Because she's a sociopathic narcissist who kills people who gets in her way. She's practically a serial killer. Feminist icon, everyone. Okay.
Yeah. I gotta go.
Oh,
I sent you a
damn.
message about that earlier, but yeah, it's 3. I gotta pick up Lindsay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
Okay, can we give Teal Deer a moment to respond if he wants?
Sure.
Or?
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, for all feminists to talk about how, unrequited love doesn't exist, because, women don't owe men anything, etc., and men should just not have feelings for women. Well, why didn't Medea just, choose to be an incel? Why didn't she just say, I have all of these feelings, I'm not going to act on them? Why, why she doesn't, he doesn't want me. I'm not entitled to anything. I guess I should just, sit down, shut up, go and hide in my room and play video games or whatever it is that people did in ancient Greece. Why didn't she do that? Why did she go and shoot up the school, as it were?
Interesting. Great question.
Yes, Medea, the woman with incel rage.
Yeah. Perfect feminist serial killer with incel rage. Overly attached girlfriend murders everybody in her way, including her own children. Yeah, perfect feminist icon. But yeah, I think the ultimate conclusion is this was a horrible situation created by two goddesses. Medea decided to be in a horrible situation and make everything that much worse. That was on her. Feminist icon, everyone. Yeah, not Mary Curie, not Lysistrata, not Lucretia. No, a woman who effectively raped a man. I mean, she didn't know, probably didn't consider that, and then killed his children that he had with her as a result of that, and made everything worse, as bad as she possibly could. That's the feminist icon. Yay!
Yep. And this is actually right at the end of this time code, this section, so that worked out too.
I mean, she must have known, right? Jason is favored by that. All of this is happening because of Hera and Aphrodite, or maybe she didn't. Right? Maybe he should have told her. Although, again, consider how she responds to things getting into her way, and imagine that conversation. Jason watching this woman just plow through, just murder her way through everything, and be like, how the hell? How do I deal with this without losing my life? Good Lord. This woman's a curse. This is Hera and Aphrodite's curse on Jason. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So if at any point after this show is over, you want to send a message, you want to tell me to shut up so everybody else can speak, go to feedthebadger.com/justthetip. We get the full benefit of whatever tip you send, and you get the benefit of having your comment not disappear, because that's the other thing. YouTube's comment system is a little confusing. Sometimes we can't find them. So feedthebadger.com/justthetip, very best way for you to send us a comment. And it goes into our community, which you can access at badgernation.online if you're more interested in the conversation, continuing the conversation about this stuff. And feedthebadger.com/support when that's available to support the show. And I'll hand it back to you, Brian. Thank you for coming on, Tilder.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Teal Deer.
Yeah, it's all right. I do find myself wondering how Medea's actually being honest and upfront with Jason would have gone. You just have a woman approaching you and just saying, Jason, the gods have cursed me with a rapid wide-on for you. This is going to be a problem.
What's no woman said ever.
Well, I got a super chat from Albert Nada, and then I'm gonna wrap it up there. But we can get into the misandry or get into the modern Medea section where she talks about, I guess, how this applies today as how she describes it, an adult woman. That's like how she describes herself when she's about to say something feminist. So I don't know if that's like the new land acknowledgement or what as an adult woman. But anyway, Albert Nada Retro gives us $5 Canadian and says, technically, nobody chooses to be an incel because it's involuntarily celibate. It's more of a social condition. Thank you for that. All right.
Yeah,
so
no, it was just to make a point because I thought it was funny. We
Yeah, I
are
think we
aware
all-
that it's involuntary.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, no, we all know that incel literally means involuntarily celibate. I knew that you were making a joke, and I think that most of us do, but you have to understand, Teal Deer, we have some Spurgs in our audience. So anyway, if you guys like this video,
I'm
please hit
aware of
like.
the Spurgery of the audience. I'm part of your audience, remember?
Well, yeah. Am I wrong? Okay, but anyway, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we talked about in the show today, and please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on this episode of Maintaining Frame, and thank you to Teal Deer for joining us, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.